In a shocking and unprecedented move, former President Donald Trump has once again taken to social media to deliver a series of posts that are shaking the very foundation of global markets and igniting fears of economic collapse worldwide. These latest revelations detail Trump's plans to impose sweeping tariffs on U.S. trade partners, namely Mexico, Canada, and China. His claims, which include accusing these countries of fueling illegal immigration, drug trafficking, and unfair trade practices, are already stirring widespread concern across the financial world. Experts warn that the consequences of such moves could be far-reaching, affecting not just international trade, but the American economy as well. In this video, we will explore Trump's dangerous tariff threats, analyze the implications for both U.S. consumers and global markets, and assess the broader political motivations behind his rhetoric. The economic and social consequences of Trump's proposed policies are profound, and the world is holding its breath to see how this political drama unfolds. The Trump tariff threats, an economic gamble of catastrophic proportions. Donald Trump's recent social media tirade has raised alarms as he announces his intention to impose a 25% tariff on all goods imported from Mexico and Canada, citing the national security threat posed by illegal immigration and drug smuggling. The former president has long made these issues central to his political messaging, but now he seems ready to escalate his rhetoric to dangerous new heights. Trump claims that his primary motivation for these tariffs is to address the flow of drugs, particularly fentanyl, into the U.S. from Mexico, which he insists is destroying America from within. However, there are serious flaws in Trump's reasoning. The data consistently shows that the majority of fentanyl entering the United States does not come from illegal immigrants crossing the southern border, but from shipments originating in China and being transported through U.S. ports. In fact, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security has repeatedly highlighted that the vast majority of fentanyl seizures at the border are tied to sophisticated international criminal networks, not migrants attempting to enter the U.S. Trump's persistent focus on immigration as the root cause of America's drug crisis is not only misleading but also distracting from the actual sources of these illicit drugs. Furthermore, Trump's claim that he will impose these tariffs as an executive action on his first day back in office, should he win the 2024 election, is an alarming overreach of presidential authority. Historically, tariffs are imposed by Congress, not by unilateral presidential decrees. For Trump to unilaterally bypass the legislative process and enact sweeping economic measures based on his personal agenda could create a dangerous precedent that undermines democratic principles. The economic fallout of such a move is also cause for concern. While Trump asserts that these tariffs would be temporary and lifted once America's borders are secured, it is highly unlikely that such tariffs would be rolled back quickly, if at all. The consequences of imposing tariffs on U.S. allies, particularly those who share the largest trading relationships with the U.S., would be catastrophic. American businesses would face steep price increases for everything from cars to electronics to consumer goods. Trump's promises to make America great again with protectionist policies may ultimately be exposed as nothing more than empty rhetoric that harms the very people he claims to be protecting. The economic ripple effect, how tariffs could devastate the U.S. economy. The economic implications of Trump's proposed tariffs would extend far beyond just consumer goods. According to experts, the imposition of tariffs would lead to higher production costs across multiple industries. For instance, American automakers who rely heavily on parts imported from Canada and Mexico would face increased manufacturing costs. Companies that assemble goods in these countries, such as Ford, General Motors, and Tesla, would be forced to raise prices on their vehicles to absorb the costs of the tariffs. This would directly impact American consumers, particularly those in the middle and lower income brackets, who would be hit hardest by rising prices on everyday products. In addition, the agricultural sector would suffer immensely. American farmers were among the hardest hit groups during Trump's previous trade war with China, with billions of dollars in retaliatory tariffs levied against their exports. China imposed steep tariffs on U.S. agricultural products, including soybeans, pork, and dairy, causing significant financial strain on farmers who rely on international markets to sell their goods. A similar situation could unfold with Mexico and Canada. Canada, in particular, is a key importer of U.S. agricultural products, including grains, meats, and dairy. Imposing tariffs on Canada would disrupt these trade flows and cause prices for U.S. farm goods to plummet. The impact on the broader manufacturing sector cannot be overstated either. For years, American businesses have relied on the efficiency of global supply chains, which have allowed companies to source raw materials and finished products at competitive prices. The imposition of tariffs would disrupt these supply chains, causing delays, shortages, and higher costs for businesses across the country. Companies that operate on thin margins may be forced to close their doors or cut jobs to survive. Meanwhile, the global markets are already reacting to Trump's rhetoric. After his posts, U.S. stock indices fell sharply, with Dow futures dropping more than 400 points in early trading. Investors are deeply concerned about the prospect of another trade war, which could send the global economy into a recession. This uncertainty has led to a spike in the prices of precious metals like gold and silver, as investors flock to safer assets in times of economic instability. Retaliation from trade partners. The domino effect of Trump's tariff war. Perhaps the most concerning aspect of Trump's proposed tariffs is the likely retaliatory actions from the very countries he targets. Canada and Mexico have both indicated that they would respond to U.S. tariffs with their own set of retaliatory measures, which could have devastating effects on American businesses. For example, Canada is a key supplier of energy resources to the U.S., particularly oil and natural gas. If Canada were to impose tariffs on American energy products in response to Trump's actions, it could cause a spike in energy prices for U.S. consumers. Mexico, on the other hand, is one of the largest trading partners for U.S. farmers, and any tariffs imposed on Mexican goods could severely disrupt the flow of agricultural exports. For instance, Mexico is a top importer of U.S. corn, wheat, and pork products, and a tariff war could lead to a massive drop in these exports, leading to financial losses for American farmers and higher food prices for consumers. The U.S. trade relationship with China, although less directly tied to agriculture, could also be exacerbated by Trump's aggressive tariff stance. China, the second largest economy in the world, has the ability to impose tariffs on a wide range of American products, including machinery, electronics, and automobiles. A full-blown trade war between the U.S. and China would be catastrophic for global trade and could lead to a significant slowdown in the global economy. As China is a key player in the world's supply chains, any disruptions in trade could have far-reaching consequences for industries worldwide. Moreover, Trump's tariff war could escalate into a broader global trade conflict. Many countries, including the European Union and Japan, have already expressed concerns about Trump's protectionist policies. The fear is that these tariffs could set a dangerous precedent for global trade, with other countries following suit and imposing their own protectionist measures. This could lead to a fragmented global economy, with countries adopting more isolationist policies and undermining decades of international cooperation. The political motivations behind Trump's tariffs. At the heart of Trump's tariff threats lies a political calculation aimed at securing his base of support among working-class voters, many of whom feel left behind by the global economic system. Trump has long positioned himself as a populist figure who is fighting against the so-called elites and the forces of globalization. His rhetoric taps into the frustrations of voters who feel that trade deals and foreign competition have led to the outsourcing of American jobs, particularly in industries like manufacturing. By framing Mexico, Canada, and China as enemies of the American worker, Trump is attempting to galvanize his base and rally support for his 2024 campaign. His tariff proposals are, in many ways, a continuation of his America First doctrine, which prioritizes U.S. interests over international cooperation. However, This approach is fundamentally flawed, as it ignores the interconnectedness of the global economy and the realities of trade relationships. Trump's rhetoric is designed to create a sense of urgency and fear among voters, while presenting himself as the only leader capable of taking bold action to protect American interests. However, the reality is far more complex. The trade policies he proposes could harm the very working-class Americans he claims to represent, leading to job losses, higher prices, and economic instability. As we look ahead to the 2024 election, Donald Trump's proposed tariff actions represent a dangerous gamble that could have disastrous consequences for both the U.S. and the global economy. While Trump claims that these tariffs will protect American workers and secure U.S. borders, the truth is that such measures will likely cause widespread economic harm and disruption. The impact on consumers, businesses, and global markets would be severe, with rising prices, job losses, and market volatility expected to follow. Furthermore, the retaliatory actions from U.S. trading partners would exacerbate these effects, plunging the global economy into a potential recession. Trump's focus on short-term political gain through protectionist policies is short-sighted, and his rhetoric is increasingly being seen as reckless and dangerous. Ultimately, Trump's proposed tariff policies are unlikely to resolve the underlying issues he claims to address, such as drug smuggling and illegal immigration. Instead, they risk further isolating the U.S. from the international community and undermining the economic prosperity that the country has enjoyed for decades. As we move toward the 2024 election, it is crucial that voters consider the broader consequences of Trump's economic agenda. The future of the global economy may depend on whether we choose to embrace cooperation and diplomacy, or to follow Trump's dangerous path of economic isolationism and chaos.